For decades, the same advice has been stamped out for every worker. Save 10% of your paycheck, keep it in a bank, and pay off all your debt. But when we measure that specific advice against the mechanics of the modern economy, the numbers reveal a different story about where that money actually goes. This chart shows what happens to $1,000 over 5 years. The red area represents the loss of purchasing power as inflation outpaces standard accounts. With yields near zero, you effectively pay the bank to hold your money while it loses value daily. This inflation dynamic means that for the average depositor, the traditional saving model has become a failing strategy. So how are the top 1% growing their capital while everyone else is merely depositing it? Treating a savings account as a safety net results in the active erosion of your wealth. Avoiding this trap requires a complete change in how we manage capital. Changing your results starts with understanding a concept used by institutional investors: the velocity of money. Wealth is generated by the speed at which capital moves between income-producing assets, rather than the size of a stagnant cash pool. Think of every dollar you own as an employee. When cash sits in a traditional checking or savings account, it is effectively unemployed. It is a resource that produces nothing. The strategy begins by moving your mandatory emergency fund out of these dormant accounts and into high-yield liquid vehicles, where the capital remains accessible but active. Idle cash is a wasted resource. Modern wealth requires that every single dollar is consistently working to generate a return. This brings us to the second execution step: debt-to-income arbitrage. This requires moving your focus away from your total debt and onto the cost of that debt. Many people feel an emotional urge to pay off low-interest loans, like a 4% mortgage, as quickly as possible. Look at the math. If you have debt costing 4%, but you place that capital into an asset yielding 8%, you have a clear choice. Paying the 4% loan instead of investing destroys that 4% delta, money that could compound in your favor. The more effective move is to maintain the cheap debt with minimum payments and redirect your capital into assets that produce higher cash flow. Under these mathematical conditions, low-interest debt serves as a tool for leverage, providing the liquidity needed to capture higher returns through arbitrage. The economy is divided between two different approaches: the employee game of hoarding static cash and the investor game of mastering capital velocity. We can see the long-term stakes on this 10-year timeline. The lower line shows the slow decay of a traditional saver, while the upper line shows the exponential growth of an investor utilizing velocity. Over a decade, this compounding effect makes the gap between strategies insurmountable. To avoid the lower line, you must adopt a new rule for your personal finances: never allow a dollar to remain stagnant. You can run your own numbers using the Wealth Velocity Calculator linked in the description to see how much your dormant cash is costing you. Tell me in the comments, what is the biggest financial hurdle you're facing right now? And if you're ready to change how you manage your money, hit the subscribe button. Realizing your financial goals requires moving past the static bank account and maintaining the continuous, calculated motion of your capital. And that leads back to the most important rule of all: